Hey guys, it's Teresa. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna take a look at my first ever project TBR, which I did for 2017. For that, I set myself the goal to read 12 books of my long-term TBR. So most of these were either had been like on my shelf for like 2 to 3 years, and I just like never picked them up. And this was gonna be the time to finally do that and try to read them and see what I think of them. And overall, I think it was really successful. I really liked this like little bit of pressure that I had put on myself to read those specific books, because often I get like sidetracked by all the new stuff, and like obviously you kind of just like want to read the latest book you bought. Like that's the one you're typically the most interested in. So it's nice to kind of just like push yourself to read some things that you've owned for longer, and it just felt really good to finally get some of this stuff off of my TBR. If you've followed my channel throughout the year, you've definitely seen these books in the wrap-ups, and I've oftentimes mentioned that they were from my project TBR, and I did manage to read all 12 of them, so I'm just going to quickly show them to you. I'm not going to talk about them too much because that would go into too much everything, but yeah, so the books I read, I don't really remember the chronological order, but I also got to Room by Emma Donoghue, even though I did end up finally DNFing this. I've said before, a lot of these books I had started before and then had like DNF'd like temporarily, but I still wanted to eventually read them, and I finally decided not to read this one. It just really wasn't for me, and I think that that's also a good conclusion to come to finally be like, no, it's not gonna happen, okay. And the same goes for Die Wand by Marlene Haushofer. I also really wanted to read it, but it's just so boring and tedious, and I ended up also DNFing this one. So both of these were a no-go. Everything else I finished though, which I think is good. There are 6 books I actually did quite like. The Island of Dr. Moreau by H.G. Wells, The Republic of Thieves by Scott Lynch, which made it into my honorable mentions of the best books of 2017, because the series is everything. Burn for Burn by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. This book is way contemporary, so I was very surprised that I actually enjoyed this so much. The Innocents by Francesca Siegel. Professor Moriarty, Hound of the D'Urbervilles, which again made it into my most unique and interesting books of 2017 video. I did rate this 5 stars. It was fantastic. And Yes Please by Amy Poehler, which I did listen to an audiobook instead of reading the book, but I still really enjoyed it. Aside from the DNFs, I ended up not quite enjoying 4 of the books I read. The Shock of the Fall by Nathan Filer, which was fine, but a little overrated in my opinion. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, which I had fun while reading, but in retrospect realized that it's quite annoying and not that great. The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness, which just isn't for me anymore. I'm like too old, I think, for a book that's this clearly YA. And House of Leaves by Mark Zdanilewski, which ended up in my most disappointing books of 2017, unfortunately. So all in all, I still think that this project was very successful, and I really am glad I ended up doing it and getting through these 12 books that I desperately needed to. So I have decided to do the same thing for 2018, and I have chosen 12 books that I want to get to in 2018. So let's quickly go through these as well. The first is a book I literally know nothing about. I think I bought this the one time I actually ever shopped at Book Outlet, and I just saw it and I was like, oh, okay, I might as well. And that is All Our Pretty Songs by Sarah McCarry. I do feel like this might end up being a definite DNF, or maybe I should actually just get rid of it. Never mind, actually, I think I'm just gonna unhaul it and pick a different one. I literally just filmed my unhaul, and like, I know I'm annoyed that I didn't mention this one. I'm gonna unhaul it. It's been decided. Okay, I've picked the replacement that I'm much happier with, and that's A Storm of Swords from George R. R. Martin. This entire series has been on my shelves for way too long, and I need to finally read it. I read the second one in 2017, and I think it's time to read the third one, and even though this is like 1,000 times longer than All Our Pretty Songs, I care much more about it, so this is a good one, I think. Then we have the kind of reverse, another book that I previously unhauled, and I'm like, no, I actually want to keep it, and that's The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valenti. This is middle grade, but it's by Catherine M. Valenti, and like, I just kind of want to keep it. I definitely won't continue the series, like, I think, but I just want to read this one this year as like a little thing, just so that I have read it and I like know what it's about. Then we have another random YA that I really am not sure about, but I just like want to see what happens with it. I just like want to try. I have never started this book ever, so like, let's just do that. Entwined by Heather Dixon. I think that this is a fairy tale retelling of something. It's maybe the like shoe one. It's about this girl and her 11 sisters that go like dancing with princes every night in like a magical world. I don't know. I love the original fairy tale, which is I think why I got this one, and the cover is also stunning, but let's just see if this is readable at all. Then something that's really tragic that I haven't actually read before, and that is the Japanese New Penguin Parallel Text Short Stories in Japanese edited by Michael Emmerich. I should have read this years ago. I got this like at the beginning of my Japanese courses, and that was like 4.5 years ago, so I should be having read that already. But basically this is just a bunch of short stories by kind of renowned Japanese authors, and they come in parallel text. So you have one page that's English and then the translated, you have the one page in Japanese and then the translated English version, so you can kind of check if what you thought you understood is actually in the text. So I think that's a pretty cool way of learning, and I should have read this book before. I have to this year. Then we have another book I've already started and got actually 180 pages in and then just never finished. And that is, oh my god, there's so much dust on this. A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I think I actually quite enjoyed this book. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I just got bored with it, I guess. I'm not gonna start over from the beginning, even though I don't remember too much, but it's gonna be fine. I know the basic gist, I think. A book that I will probably start over with, because I'm only on page 56, is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This is an epic fantasy that is highly, highly beloved by pretty much everyone who enjoys fantasy, so I think it has to happen this year. And oh, look at this! Aww, I remember this bookmark. This was my favorite bookmark for the longest time, and then I just put it in this book and forgot it existed. Can you see? It's like one of these like holographic one with wolves, and it says on the back, "To Teresa for being a very good au pair." I was a very good au pair. Not great, not fantastic, but very good. No, I think it's so cute that they gave this to me. If you didn't know, I worked as an au pair for a year and took care of 4 children between 5 and 10 years old, and I think this was from the oldest one. She gave this to me because it looks like her handwriting. Anyway. Oh, but she wrote being with B-I-E-N-G. That's really cute. Another book I've already started is Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin, but again, I will have to start over because I've read only 18 pages. It's so freaking short. I think it's about the author in the 1950s trying to fully understand what it means to be black, and so he basically decides to paint his face black, which is very dangerous, but he just like wanted to understand what it felt like to be a black man in the American South, and so he tried to like live life as a black man. And yeah, I don't know why I didn't continue reading this. It sounds really interesting. I don't know if it's problematic. I mean, he did it in 1950, so you can't really measure it by today's standards, but I'm definitely interested to see what kind of results that he came up with. Then we have a book that's more on the humoristic side, and that is Snow White and the Seven Samurai by Tom Holt. I think Tom Holt only writes like these sort of weird, satirical almost, like books. It's like a fairy tale retelling that's like really weird. It's like about the fairy tale world, and then somehow it's being hacked by humans, and they shut down the Wicked Queen system Miros 3.1, corrupting her database. I don't know, it just sounds so odd, which is why I haven't read it yet, but like, we'll give it a go this year. Let me know if you've read Tom Holt before. I feel like it's gonna be a matter of like, do you enjoy this type of humor? Second to last, another book that I will have to start over even though I've read 100 pages, but that is The Prague Cemetery by Umberto Eco. I remember buying this book exclusively because of the cover, because it's just looking so cool. And I tried reading it apparently, but because my knowledge of history, particularly Italian history, is very, very limited, especially at the time it was. I like didn't really know anything, I feel like. And there's so much actual history in this that I tried like actually sitting there with my phone or like a laptop or something, trying to kind of Google everything that came up, and that was very exhausting, and I think that's why I lost momentum and I lost interest in reading it, and I really want to try it again now that I'm a little bit more, at least more broadly aware of like certain historical things and more more interested in them, more importantly, because I didn't really care about it that much. I did, however, even take notes and stuff. Like, for a little while, I was very motivated and very into it, and I'm gonna give it another go, and then hopefully eventually move on to The Name of the Rose, because that's kind of like why I haven't bought it yet, because I was like, I have the Prague Cemetery, I have to read the Prague Cemetery first, so that's gonna happen in 2018. And finally, a book that I've just like never wanted to pick up, but now I have to, is The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. I don't know why I like didn't want to read it. I think at the time I wasn't really into thrillers ever, and like then I kind of just like forgot about it because it was just sitting on my shelf, which again is a really good reason for doing Project TBR, because you're like actually taking a closer look at what you have, what you've had for longer, and finally kind of taking those things into consideration for reading. And then I completely forgot to show the final 2 books because I didn't have them in physical form, so I just like didn't think about them. I don't know, I'm sorry, but now I'm in Vienna, I have them in physical form so I can show them to you. And the last 2 books I want to read for the Project TBR 2018 are Persuasion by Jane Austen and Ichikyachion by Haruki Murakami. I've read the first book in this trilogy, and I'm gonna set myself the minimum goal of reading the second one. I've read like 100 pages. I've read like 100 pages of it so far. So I don't know if I'll reread them or what. I'd like forgotten most of the stuff, except that there's like multiple moons in this world. Like that's all I remember. So we'll see, I guess. That is it for everything that I read in 2017 and want to read in 2018 for Project TBR. Let me know, you guys, if you participated in this project in 2017 and how it went, and if you want to try it out for yourself for 2018. I don't think it's sort of common to pick exactly 12 books. I think it's just like setting yourself a sort of overall challenge to read as much as you can from your long-term TBR. But genuinely, if I don't pick specific books, I will just like flail about and probably not read that much after all. So I like that I can focus on these 12 now and like try to read like 1 a month at least. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Check back in a year, I guess, to find out. And that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over there and watch some videos I recently did as well, and come back very soon for another one. Have a lovely week. Bye!